Hi everyone, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today we are celebrating the La La Land STAMPtember 2024 limited edition exclusive called Mooey Christmas. This is a darling cow themed stamp set with coordinating dies, and we're going to create a fun little scene today. We're going to start with the Delicate Pines embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp, embossed on some green leaf cardstock, and we're going to use the raised embossed side. Another idea would be to use the debossed side and do the blackout technique either with black ink or even with your green ink pad for a two-tone green background. I think that would be really fun, or even the blackout technique would be really fun. So I am going around the edges of my panel, pulling the Kale green positively saturated ink towards the center to build the intensity of the green color. The raised embossed areas are going to hold on to that ink much darker than anywhere else on the panel, and it's going to give you a beautiful result. Next, I'm going to place my inked panel in a splatter box, and I'm going to use some Spellbinders white splatter to add snow to our Delicate Pines. I want to have an all over snowy background, and this is the part that we want to be able to sit and dry for a bit before we add anything to it. Also from my stash, I have picked the Merry Word die and the Twinkly Lights dies, and I've die cut all of these pieces as you can see here. I've die cut the Twinkly Lights from the same green leaf for the base, and then red and white glitter cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. For the Merry Word, I have die cut that from red glitter cardstock as well as 3 white layers so that we can give our Merry Word a little bit of a more substantial look and feel. There is a shadow for the word Merry, but because I want my Twinkly Lights to kind of be interspersed between the letters, I want to just use the word and not the shadow for this. I chose the Merry Word die because I want to use the sentiment Mooey Christmas so that my sentiment reads Merry Mooey Christmas. I thought that was funny, and so I thought it worked so cute with these adorable cow images. Okay, so now you can see on my desk I had my stamps that I want to use laid out, and I'm using the grids on my mat to kind of gauge how everything was going to fit on the background, and I was pretty tickled to see that I thought it was all going to flow nicely. I have all of my die cut pieces stored in this wonderful triangle tray from Simon Says Stamp. Anytime I have teeny tiny little pieces, I love to hold on to them in a triangle tray so that they don't go anywhere and they don't go missing. I'm using these Simon Says Stamp embellishment wand to pick up each of my cute glittery little lights here and pop them in place. I definitely went with the traditional red, white, and green Christmas theme today, and you're not really going to see any other colors other than neutrals introduced, and I think it really works. I love red and white Christmas lights on houses. I just do, and so I kind of went with that theme when I was designing this card. After we have our lights all in place, I am going to take glossy accents and apply that over the lights so they have a glossy raised finish. I want them to look like those outdoor Christmas lights, and I want them to be kind of rounded. So that is my little tip for that. Now, before I add the glossy accents, I did decide let's kind of put the lights in our Merry Word, glue these down to our card, and then we can work on coloring. Especially because I want to give the glossy accents a nice little chance to dry while I'm working on my coloring. Now, could you wait and do this at the very end? You absolutely could, but I love kind of being able to let dry time be part of my crafty time, if that makes sense. So if I'm working on coloring, I love that backgrounds can be drying, or in this case, glossy accents can be drying. I'm using my liquid glue to put a little bit of glue on the back of my word, and I'm just going to use my stamp as a guide so I know exactly where to pop that, so that when I place my cow who's sitting on top of the word Merry down, that it's not he's not going to just be too high or too low or anything like that. So basically my word and lights are on the bottom half of the card. Now our cow holding the candy cane is also going to be tucked into this left side of the card. So I didn't put glue underneath some of the lights and things on that side so that it's still easy to tuck him in place when we're done stamping and die cutting, and then we can glue all of those lights down. I love these twisty turny lights, and I really love in the twinkly lights you get options. You get the straight, kind of straight line hanging lights, and then you get these twisted up lights. So I kind of thought it looked like the cows were all tangled up in their Christmas lights, which I thought was funny and cute. And if you guys know me, I generally have like a little story that I'm telling myself in my head about the characters when I'm building a scene card. So here is my glossy accents that I am applying to all of these Christmas lights. And it's going to be kind of milky right now, but it's going to dry completely clear and look absolutely amazing. And I love this over the glitter cardstock. If you haven't tried glossy accents over the glitter cardstock, try it and see what you think. I think it just makes it so, so pretty. Okay, we're going to set this over to the side. Let me see. I need to kind of hold down that light a little bit. And now we're going to take our images from the Mooey Christmas stamp set, stamp them on some Hammermill 100-pound weight cardstock using Hero Arts Intensified black ink, and we're going to start coloring them in with some Olo markers. I will list all of those marker colors down in the description below the video here on YouTube for your convenience. I started with my reds, and we're going to start building out the red color on both of the images. Now, I really did try to color in everything red at one time, and then everything kind of like the insides of the ears is a light pink, so on and so forth, just kind of adding in all of that color. But I'm going to work to get the shading and try not to oversaturate the paper too much in the process so that I don't want my red to bleed. And I did find I didn't have any trouble at all with my reds. Just adding my color here. And let's move over to the candy cane. Now I am going to stick to those reds. As I mentioned, there will be a little bit of green on the sitting cow with the holly berries or the holly leaves and the ribbon around the package, since I chose to do the package in red. But the scarf and the hats and all of that, I stuck to red color, and I really like how it looks. If you're ever struggling with your coloring and picking colors for your coloring, try limiting your choices. I know that sounds funny, but if you limit your color palette, in this case, I stuck to reds and greens with some neutral, it really simplifies the process, and what you're left with is such a striking card. Generally, my results when I do this just thrill me. So if that's something that you kind of find trouble with, or if you're in the middle of a project and you're just trying to incorporate lots of colors and you're finding that you're not loving the results, try eliminating a couple of them, stay in the same color family, or even a monochromatic color design. I'm always a big fan of that, like maybe different shades of reds and pinks, or blues, darker blues and lighter blues, or aquas and blues, or something like that. It is always one of my favorite go-tos. Now, when I'm done with the scarf, I did go back with my dark color marker and draw in some little lines to give some ribbing or make it look like there was some ribbing in the cow's scarf. And once we kind of have the cows colored in, Then we're going to add in the pink of the ears, which is going to be a very light red color. And it often is a little shocking. Like that's really, really too pink, but I love it as a base. If you go over it with a really light neutral, like we're going to do here in a minute, it softens it a little bit, makes it a little bit more natural looking, I guess, if you will. If cows dressed up in their holiday finest is natural, but you guys know what I mean. So after we have the pink in, now we're going to do our brown. So here I went ahead and put a little bit of the light brown, the 4.0 over the top, but we're going to even do more here in a little bit. So let's go in and add in our dark color for our cows. And I chose to color them both the same today. Again, just kind of eliminating that having to pull more colors or, trying to make it more difficult than it needs to be. This stamp set does actually feature 3 different cows. I couldn't quite figure out a way to get them all to fit on this card, so I picked the 2 that I felt like went with this design, but they are absolutely precious. One of the other things I want to mention about this Mooey Christmas stamp set is that I think that they would make fantastic gift tags. If you want to use these on some gift tags, or if you have like some snow globes you can make into gift tags or ornament shaped gift tags, I think they would be absolutely adorable. So just another idea for you. I always love taking anything from the paper crafting and trying to find ways to utilize it in my tag making as well. Now I want to work on the cows a little bit to get a beautiful blend. So you're going to notice that I really do work on this quite a bit. I did use the 2 darker colors mostly for the cows themselves. The lighter shades are going to be over the pink areas around the cow's face, inside the ears, etc. And then we're just going to soften there a little bit around the hooves. And those light browns look great over the pink in the ears. You can still see the pink and of the face too, around the nose. You can still see the pink show through, but it does soften it a lot. Now I'm taking my darkest color, the 4.6, and I am adding some little dot detail around my cow, just to add some interest to the fur. I kept the hooves lighter on purpose. And then I'm going back in with my dark, and I decided to darken the hair just a little bit. Add a little shadowing and shading. Oh my goodness, look at his sweet little face. Love it. Absolutely precious. Gonna do a little pink. Like I felt like it blended out a little too much, so you can even go back over some of your neutrals with your pink if you want to. Let's color in the other one really quick. So laying down my dark color first again, then we'll blend out with our lighter shade, and then we're going to color in that present that he's holding on to. I think these are a really fun idea for Christmas as opposed to like reindeer. So something that I absolutely love that La La Land does each year is they come out with a set that is very unique, with unique critters. And this one, when I saw this one this year, I just smiled. I thought it was the cutest. Their faces are precious. The eyes are so expressive. The eyes are done really, really well for these. And we want to highlight those with our Jelly Roll pen. So when we're all done coloring, I am going to do that. Full disclosure, I've mentioned this in many videos. I like to do the Jelly Roll pen after I die cut, but for whatever reason today, I was so anxious to see what their faces look like with that black glossy eye. I did it before. So I had to let my images sit because that jelly roll pen is going to stay wet for a little bit. So you want to make sure it's all the way dry. I let it sit and dry, and then I kind of tapped it with my finger and it was still tacky. So I let it sit for a few more minutes. And then I actually had a scrap from a foam adhesive sheet. You know that you take your foam adhesive squares off of. I went ahead and I covered their faces with that side of that sheet as I ran it through my die cutting machine with the coordinating dies to protect their eyes, and it worked like a charm. So nothing happened. I did make sure it was all the way dry before I did that so it didn't flatten out or make a mess of my colored images. But if you ever find yourself in a bind like that, there's a little tip that hopefully helps you guys like it helped me. Okay, now we're going to go in with some greens. I'm using some yellow greens here that I felt like coordinated really pretty with my background and the inking I did. I think it really matches the Kale ink and the green leaf cardstock perfectly. Now, because I did my leaves in this darker color combination, I'm going to take the mid-tone color and a lighter color and do the band around the present. So it's a little bit lighter green, but still in that same color family, so that the green of the hollyberry leaves really stands out. Then we're going to go in with our warm grays for our white areas and add a little shading. And then we are going to die cut our sweet images. I even went in with a white pencil over the top of some of the gray just to make sure that it still looked white but had that great shading to it. Oh my goodness, so cute. Here's the black jelly roll pen over the eyes, as I mentioned. And these eyes are so nice and big that I didn't have to worry about going back with a white pen later. I was able to color around the white little highlight in the eyes very easily. I took a little bit of a white jelly roll pen and I'm adding some dot detail into the pom-pom and the brims of the hat to give them a little bit of texture to make them look nice and fluffy. I'm trimming off the excess from my card background, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim my card base. This is a side fold card base from Simon Says Stamp. We're going to just trim the tiniest bit off of the sides. And this is to account for any kind of shrinkage of our background when we embossed it. Sometimes that makes your panel, even if it was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to start with, it tends to make it just a teeny tiny bit smaller. So I trim off a little bit so no white shows. And then I'm simply going to glue this to my card base. There we go. And then we're going to grab our images and glue them down. And once we add our cows to here, it is magical. So we're going to kind of tuck our candy cane cow into the lights, and then we're going to sit the other cow right on top of the word "Merry like so." And you can see some of the lights are overlapping. And now we can go in any of those little lights that are overlapping our images, we can glue down with our liquid glue. I'm going to take a Stardust glitter pen and just trace over the string of lights as well. It's super subtle, but it will have a little bit of a sheen to it without changing the color of the base of the cardstock. It is a Christmas card after all, so I felt like a little glitter and shine and gloss was just what we needed. And this works really well over the top of this string of lights. So cute. Finally, I do want to take a few Rainbow Splash red gems and scatter them around my card to finish it off. Plus, we need to add the Mooey Christmas sentiment, so I stamped that with black ink, used a sentiment label die to die cut it, and we're going to pop it up right underneath the word Merry with a foam adhesive strip. I want it to fit right between the lights, like so. And there we go. It looks so cute. Look at those glossy raised lights. I love them. Again, to keep the color scheme consistent, I only picked the red gems from the sticker sheet to scatter, and I almost think they look like little red berries tucked into these delicate pine leaves. Embossing folders are always a great idea to add interest to a simple card background. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for the STAMPtember 2024 limited edition exclusive from La La Land Crafts called Mooey Christmas. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.